the social justice team, and also Rachel Ryan for making this happen. And you'll notice each Sunday a basket at the back of the sanctuary with a really clearly printed sign on it that says Friends Indeed, food pantry donations. That's where you put your items. Thank you so much. And they'll be taken by volunteers up to Friends Indeed. And if you are new to Throop, we are having a newcomer social today after the worship service. We'll be gathering on our courtyard patio, which is just through those double doors, and keep moving toward the light, toward the patio. And the member engagement team has put together some lovely refreshments as you get to know some other new folks, and it's an opportunity to ask any questions you have about Throop or Unitarian Universalism. And each Sunday, we are reminded that each one of us is a light in the world, and the flame from our chalice symbolizes and reflects that light.
Our time in worship together is intimately connected with our daily lives. As a symbol of that connection, we light our chalice with a flame from candles of hope and witness. Awaken to what lies ahead of you along the path. Reach out to the new. Reach out towards where you are going and where you are growing. Awaken your sense of trust, even when life feels uncertain. May an embrace of love brighten your pathway, beckoning you to transform into renewed life again and again. We light a second candle to honor the people and ancestors whose lands we now occupy. The land under and around Throop is the unceded land of the Gabrielino Tongva Band of Mission Indian people. May this knowledge and awareness lead us into dismantling systems of supremacies and oppressions. We light a third candle, symbolizing our watershed, the Arroyo Seco. May their waters continue to nourish life in our communities. We take a moment of silence, holding all these in our hearts.
And as we continue gathering together, we sing our opening hymn, Wake Now, My Senses. It's number 298 in this great hymnal. We're singing verses 1 and 4, and please rise as body and spirit allow. Number 298.
Wake now, my senses, and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being it all. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving, as love shows us how.
And we take a pause and turn to our neighbors and welcome them into worship.
Hey, good morning, Michael. Oh, I know, right? It's been a while.
This is last week. This is last week.
Oh, okay, find it this week. Sorry, I got as far as I could here.
We need 298 and 125.
Which one's first?
298.
Okay, go with that one. I don't know. Oh, so we don't need that one, huh? It's only not too bad.
Listen, drink music.
What about this one?
125. It's close.
That's good. Okay.
You could 29 up it anyway.
It's done. The light
Wake now, my conscience, with justice thy guide. Join with all people whose rights are denied. Take not for granted a privileged place. God's love embraces the whole human race.
Right now, if you have been anywhere in the exterior grounds of our congregation, you might notice that our Throop Learning Garden, it is showing off right now. It really is. And one of the plants that is in full bloom out there is a milkweed plant. And do you know who loves milkweed more than anything else? Butterflies! That's right. And there are so many different varieties of milkweed. A few of them are butterfly weed, the California milkweed, showy milkweed, tropical. There's something called antelope horns, which frankly doesn't look anything like what I think an antelope horn looks like. Do any of you have other favorite varieties of milkweed, Charles? What is it? Non-dairy milkweed? I think we're serving that at coffee hour later. George, I saw your hand up. Swamp milkweed. Does it only grow in swamps?
Well, not in California.
Oh, not in California. Anyone else have a favorite color or variety of milkweed that you notice? The who eats the milkweed? It's the caterpillars. Oh, and then they become butterflies. Jean says there are only certain kinds of milkweed that they can eat, and I think Jean, unknowingly, has just challenged all of us, not right now, but later, to Google which varieties of milkweed do butterflies eat, and maybe different kinds of butterflies maybe eat different kinds of milkweed. I don't know. This is something that we will have to discover. And the monarch butterflies lay their eggs on a certain type of milkweed. And then when the butterflies, or the caterpillars, when they eat the milkweed, it creates a type of chemical shield in them that is a detriment to predators snacking on them later. And I think that's pretty cool. And one way that all of us can tend to and care for our earth is either planting milkweed, or when we see milkweed growing, we can just send it our Throop love and our hopes that it continues to flourish. And each week we state our own Throop promise to our planet. These are words we share together on Sunday, and they're in your order of worship. As members of living beings on earth, We are guided by the Unitarian Universalist principle of respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, with hearts filled with love for it, eyes nurtured by its beauty, and minds ruminating on ways to protect its sacred and scarce resources. We promise to nurture the well-being of all life and of the planet itself. And in honor of our monthly theme of transformation, the responsive reading is called When I Change. And the congregation's response is in your order of worship. And those words are, may we be open to change, knowing we are never complete and never perfect. And let's say that together. May we be open to change, knowing we are never complete and never perfect. We are here to derive meaning in our actions, to win our power back over areas of hopelessness, to deepen our understandings of ourselves in order to strengthen self-discipline. When we change, the world changes. May we be open to change, knowing we are never complete and never perfect. We are here to abolish prejudice with an appreciation of our diversity and our differences, to become teachers to each other, to spend time away from the usual influences, and to relearn reality. When we change, the world changes. May we be open to change, knowing we are never complete and never perfect. We are here to slow down, to remember all of who we are, to see that our life is a gateway to countless possibilities. When we change, the world changes. May we be open to change, knowing we are never complete and never perfect. And today we have 3 Throop players sharing a story about Homer's wings. And it's a story that helps us get in touch with that reality that we are never complete and we are never perfect. So please come forward, Dave and Ripley and Dre. Thank you.
Homer's wings. I don't know that it happened this way, but I do know that it's true. That long ago and far away, or more likely recently and quite nearby, high up in the mountains on a black cherry tree, an egg was laid on a leaf. And in the light of the full moon, out of that egg hatched a little purple caterpillar with white markings that would look to any bird who might chance by, perhaps like bird droppings. The caterpillar's name was Homer. Homer looked around in surprise and wonder to find themselves alive in the world. Better eat your egg casing, little friend, said a plaid caterpillar nearby. Homer did just that and then turned to look at his new friend. Welcome to the world, said the other caterpillar, whose name was Alex. It's delicious. Here, try some of this leaf. Together, the 2 caterpillars munched on leaves that spring through rain and sunrises and sunsets. They laughed together at the antics of baby birds. and hid together under leaves that the plaid caterpillar had collected so that parent birds could not catch them. Alex taught Homer all they needed to know about life on a leaf, how to stay safe, how to munch, how to enjoy the feeling of the wind stirring the trees, and the sun slowly warming the mountains each morning. Together they gazed each night up at the beautiful moon. But one day, the plaid caterpillar started something totally new and different. "What are you doing?" asked Homer, as Alex carefully put down silk on the underside of a twig in the newest collection of leaves and began hanging upside down. "Making a chrysalis," said Alex. "A what?" "You'll see." And over the next couple of days, in the shelter of leaves, the plaid caterpillar shifted and shed its skin and became a strange, lumpy brown thing, hanging there, not making any conversation. What could this mean? For a week, Homer munched quietly by themselves, watching the strange brown hanging thing that used to be his friend, wondering and worrying as the strange lumpy brown thing shifted in color and size and pattern. Then, one day, out of the strange lumpy brown chrysalis pushed an even stranger creature. Homer watched as this new creature pumped blood into its blue wings, and unfurled a strange new mouth. "What?" cried Homer. "Who?" The new creature turned to look at him. "Oh, little friend," it said, "it's still me, Alex, the one you laughed and hid and munched leaves and watched the moon with. But now I'm a butterfly. An admiral butterfly, to be specific," Alex said proudly. "But you changed," cried Homer. "You were as constant as the moon, and now you have changed." Alex smiled gently. "Oh, friend," they said, "we're supposed to change. Why, even the moon is different night to night. Sometimes we see all of it, sometimes only a sliver, and sometimes we can't see it at all." "But I don't want to change," lamented Homer, scared and sad. "Change is part of who we are," said the butterfly who was Alex, "and now our friendship must change too. I must fly away in search of flowers and other butterflies, and eventually I will fly south to stay warm in the winter. You must continue to eat and grow and stay safe from birds, but you will change too. Just remember, you are loved, and whatever your body does, you are a beautiful friend, and I am glad to know you." And with that, Alex took to the sky. All that summer, Homer, the little purple caterpillar, ate and grew and hid and watched the moon, which did indeed look a little different each night. Homer became a bigger purple caterpillar. Their white splotch turned into two little eye shapes, so they looked like a fearsome little snake, and no birds ate him. Day by day, the seasons moved toward autumn. Finally, Homer found his own safe spot to hang upside down and shifted into a chrysalis. This was scary, but Homer remembered his friend and was brave. All winter, the chrysalis hung there, safe and still. In the spring, Homer felt themselves stir, felt their new body shift once again, and wiggled free to find themselves with a new mouth and different shape and wings. Wings that were red. Wings that were red and glorious. "Oh my," said Homer, gazing at themselves in wonder and delight. And then they took off into the sky, up toward the bright moon, bold as a bird, and free and born anew.
Thank you, our most beautiful troop butterflies. This is the moment in worship where our children can go explore being butterflies and what it means to be in community with each other. We sing them into the Kids Dig In program. Faith, thank you so much for leading them today, and the words are in the order of worship.
For you shall go out in joy. For you shall go out in joy and come back in peace, and come back in peace. For you shall go out in joy. For you shall go out in joy and come back in peace, and come back in peace. Blessed be.
I think about our troop children, and one day they will be young adults or parents or just humans making their own way, and they'll think back to their time at troop church, and people will be like, "What did you learn in church?" That we could become butterflies. What a lovely lesson. Thank you. Today's pondering is by Mary Oliver, called One or Two Things. Don't bother me. I've just been born. The butterfly's loping flight carries it through the country of leaves delicately, and well enough to get it where it wants to go, wherever that is, stopping here and there to fuzzle the damp throats of flowers. Up and down it swings, frenzied and aimless, and sometimes for long, delicious moments, it is perfectly lazy, riding motionless in the breeze of small talk of some ordinary flower. The god of dirt came up to me many times and said so many wise and delectable things. I lay on the grass listening to his dog voice, frog voice, croaky voice. Now, he said, and now, and never once mentioned forever, which has nevertheless always been like a sharp iron hoof at the center of my mind. One or two things are all you need to travel over the blue pond, over the deep roughage of the trees, and through the stiff flowers of lightning. Some deep memory of pleasure, some cutting knowledge of pain. But to lift the hoof, for that, you need an idea. For years and years, I struggled just to love my life. And then the butterfly rose weightless in the wind. Don't love your life too much, it said, and vanished into the world.
Rows and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's clouds, illusions I recall. I don't really know clouds at all. Moons and tunes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way you feel, and every fairy tale dream comes true. I've looked at love that way, but now it's just another show. They leave you laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from one take, and still somehow love's illusions I recall. I really don't know love at all. Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreaming schemes and circus crowds. I've looked at life that way. But now old friends are acting strange. They shake their heads, they say I've changed. Well, something's lost, but something's gained in living every day. I've looked at life from both sides now, from win and lose, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know life at all. I've looked at life from both sides now, from win and lose, and still somehow life's illusions I recall. I really don't know life at all.
Thank you. You've come here looking for community, for a place to call your own, for religious community that challenges you at times, that encourages you to look at issues or people, at reality from both sides in. And we're able to be here for you because of all the ways you support our Throop community life. You all give so much of your individual time. You gift us with all of your myriad talents, and you also bless us with your financial treasure. For those of you that are able to offer financial support today, we thank you. You can make a gift online. The way to do that is in the order of worship. You can also make a gift here in the room. Cynthia is about to pass the offering plate. If you're a first-time visitor, please let the offering plate pass you by. The morning offering will now be gratefully received.
Make channels for the streams of love where they may broadly run, and love has overflowing streams to fill them everyone. But if at any time we cease the channels to provide, the very fountains of love for us will soon be parched and dried. For we must share if we would keep this gift all else above. We cease to give, we cease to have. Such is the law of love. Make channels for the streams of love where they may broadly run, and love has overflowing streams to fill them everyone.
In a spirit of gratitude, we lift up those that are supporting today's worship service. I'd like to thank Malcolm and the choir for your always inspiring music, Valerie for all of your administrative support, Cynthia for serving as an usher and a greeter, Faith for being with our children's program, Ms. Seven for offering our chalice lighting words, Dave and Ripley and Dre for bringing butterflies to life in the worship. I'd also like to thank the Ryans for your lovely altar and sanctuary decor. Thank you for bringing the butterflies in that way. Cynthia is also putting together coffee and conversation. I'd like to thank the member engagement team for bringing refreshments for the newcomer social, which is when? After service. Where? In the back on the patio. And then my final bit of thanks goes to our live stream tech team. Today it is Steve and Clara running the cameras. Thank you. And also a special note, we have been offering live stream almost every Sunday since we came back into worship back in October of 2021. I know, it's amazing, and we do it with an all-volunteer team. I mean, we pay them in our thanks and gratitude and hugs and coffee, and we're looking for people to join the team. If you're interested, there'll be a training so that you're not just like thrown over there at the cameras one Sunday, but Steve has offered to leave a training with you, and it's one way to share your time and your talent with the troop community that you see in here, and also our beloved troopers that join us from home. So if you're interested, let me or let Steve or Clara know that you'd like to be part of that. Aw, we love you all on live stream. And for all the ways that we share our resources in the greater community, we share together our response to the offering, and that's in the order of worship. For the ministries of the church and our community, we bless our offering with love and hope.
So this morning, I'm going to teach you all a little call and response. Would somebody like to tell me what call and response means? Exactly. I will call and you will respond. So you are going to copy what I sing right back at me. So we're going to give this a try. I'm going to sing, in the shelter.
In the shelter
Of each other.
of each other.
In the shelter.
In the shelter
Of our lives.
of our lives.
We are open.
Open.
We are dreaming.
We are dreaming.
We are hopeful.
We are hopeful.
We are wise.
We are wise.
Yeah, let's do that all together. That's beautiful. In the shelter of each other.
Of each other.
In the shelter
the shelter
of our lives.
of our lives.
We are open.
We are open.
We are dreaming.
We are dreaming.
We are hopeful.
and hopeful.
We are wise.
We are wise.
Again, in the shelter
In the shelter
of each other.
of each other.
In the shelter
In the shelter
of our lives.
of our lives.
We are open.
We are open.
We are dreaming.
We are dreaming.
We are hopeful.
We are hopeful.
We are wise.
We are wise.
In the shelter of each other.
of each other.
In the shelter
In the shelter
of our lives.
of our lives.
We are open.
We are open.
We are dreaming.
We are dreaming.
We are hopeful.
We are hopeful.
We are wise.
We are wise.
Beautiful.
Thank you. And we take a breath in together. And exhale. Taking some moments to connect in with our bodies and our breath. Taking a gentle breath in together again. And exhaling. These past many weeks, the world has crashed down over and over again. The ongoing war in Gaza and the repression of student protest across our country has brought up so many feelings. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold values of pluralism, of justice, rigorous inquiry and debate, and democratic freedom of expression for all people. Our circles of care and love, our circles of family and friends, they include people who are hurt by, who are being impacted by the ongoing war and by the protest. We have beloveds in our room with us who have put their bodies and their hearts in the midst of the students, sometimes at peril of their physical safety, their emotional safety, their spiritual safety. We hold a moment of silence together. In this moment of silence, we each say our own prayer for real and lasting change. Our prayers for a ceasefire which will be permanent, and prayers for a day when every person is seen and acknowledged as the whole and holy and beautiful person that they are. We breathe in our prayers and share stillness with each other. And for all that is our life, we give our thanks and praise. Amen.
We've cleared off the table, leftovers saved, washed the dishes and put them away. I've told you a story, tucked you in tight at the end of your knockabout day. As the moon sets its sails to carry you to sleep over the midnight sea, I will sing you a song no one sang to me. May it keep you good company. Oh, you can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know that I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose your own special ones. And the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done. There are girls who grow up strong and bold. There are boys quiet and kind. Some race on ahead, some follow behind, some go their own way in time. Some women love women, some men love men, some raise children, some never do. You can dream all the day, never reaching the end of everything possible for you. Don't be rattled by names, by taunts, by games, but seek out spirits true. If you give your friends the best part of yourself, they'll give the same back to you. Oh, you can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know that I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose your special ones. And the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're done.
There are some things we enter into and we know, we expect that we will somehow be changed by the experience. We will leave a slightly or radically different person than we were when we began. One of these spaces that I'm intimately familiar with is seminary, theological education. Most people enter seminary after something has tugged and pulled at their hearts and they cannot ignore it any longer. It might take months or years, but eventually they find themselves in the classroom, and often they find themselves there and they are perhaps wondering, what in the world have I gotten myself into? David Vasquez Levy is the president of Pacific School of Religion up in Berkeley. I'll be graduating from there in a couple of weeks with my Doctorate of Ministry, which I'm very excited about. Yay! And Reverend Vasquez Levy says that the seminary experience will blow your mind, embolden your heart, and strengthen your hands. Whatever new thing we enter into, whether it's college or a graduate degree, a relationship, parenthood, a new job, perhaps retirement, we know in our heads that something's going to change, but are our minds and hearts and spirits and bodies, are they ever really ready for what is about to come? One of my most memorable experiences in seminary was in my very first semester, and it was in a Hebrew scriptures class, required, or else I might not have signed up for it, truth be told. I felt really nervous and unsure in that classroom because I knew nothing about the Bible. I only had recollections of going to Sunday school as a teen with some friends and being terrified because a youth pastor would start shouting out chapters and verses and everybody would open up their Bible and turn right to it. And I didn't know if it was supposed to be in the beginning or middle or end, and I thought everyone would be staring at me. So we're in this class this first semester, and the professor's speaking, and I look over, and I notice another student, and the student is holding a very clearly loved, well-worn Bible, and it's full of different colored Post-it notes, and I just imagine he's probably reading this every day, and he would know exactly where to turn when the youth pastor said chapter and verse. But I noticed him because I saw that he was looking frustrated and alarmed by what the professor was saying. And the professor was a rabbi, a scholar of these ancient texts, and he was telling us that some of the phrases in the scriptures were not meant to be taken literally. No, but they were allegorical, and that we had to have an awareness of the time and place and geography in which they were written. And as an example, the professor told us that the Sea of Reeds, which the Israelites passed through in the Exodus story, that body of water actually ebbs and flows throughout the year. Sometimes the water's ebbing so much that you can easily pass through them, and that Moses would have known that, and Moses would have chosen a time of the year when the waters were low to take his people through. That made so much sense to me. I was so relieved to hear this and intrigued and wondered what else was going to be uncovered in this class. I was so glad I had been required to sign up for it. But I looked over again at this student who was becoming more and more frustrated as the professor went on, and he finally waved his Bible up in the air and he said, "Professor, are you telling me that everything I have been taught in my life is perhaps incorrect? That these pages are not the inerrant word of God?" That student's mind was blown. My heart was emboldened. And in that moment, I don't think either of us had strengthened hands, but shaky hands at what we were learning. And that particular moment has stayed with me for over 20 years, partly because his astonishment at what he was hearing reflected my own astonishment at what I was hearing, but mostly because of the vulnerability and courage he modeled in that classroom. Upon hearing this new information about a text that he trusted and clearly carried with him for so many years, He could have just completely shut out what the professor was saying. He could have decided right there on the spot that that professor was wrong. He wasn't going to listen anymore. Or he could have just tucked all of this away and taken it out later in the privacy of his own solitude and pondered it. But he held the possibility open that some things he thought he knew about the Bible up to that point may have been incomplete. And there, in the midst of this classroom, he was open to transformation and change. This year, our own denomination of Unitarian Universalism is opening ourselves up to our own transformation. June 20th through 23rd, the UU General Assembly will gather all online this year. It's an annual meeting that all 1,000 or so UU member congregations are able to send delegates to. And delegates from these congregations will discuss and vote on a revision to our 7 principles and purposes. These UU principles and purposes form ethical guidelines for us to follow. And one of the current principles, some of us know it by heart because we say it every week as part of our promise to our planet. One of these is the interdependent web of all existence, and we say this in our promise to our planet. The revision that we are considering, it places an ethic of love, symbolized by a heart, right at the center, and then there are 6 shared values that surround that ethic of love. And all year, we have been talking about these different values. We've taken one each month. Anybody remember what one of those values is that we've talked about? Justice, yes. And we often hear this word along with justice sometimes. Equity, Clara got it. And we try to be people that are something of spirit, generosity, and we are people who have many different beliefs and practices, and we call that pluralism. And then the one that we just did in April, George, do you remember it? Well, democracy is a word that's in some of this new language, but what last month in April, our theme was, it's in the 7th principle. I'm going to stand here like this until somebody says it. It's my favorite one. He said dairy-free, not quite. It starts with an I, ends with a T. No, ends with an E. Independence! Okay. And this month is transformation. This is what the new language says about the value of transformation. Listen closely. We adapt to a changing world. We covenant to collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically. Openness to change is fundamental to our Unitarian and Universalist heritages, never complete and never perfect. If any of you all have spent the last week wondering why everything you do is not perfect, please tell me you are ready to vote for this value that reminds us we're never complete and we're never perfect. The roots of our Universalist and Unitarian religious traditions lie in dissenting Christian thought of the 17th and 18th centuries. Embracing the idea and practice of transformation is at the heart of who we have always been. That isn't new. We understand that revelation is not sealed. We are always in the process of becoming. the nature of life changes. The word Unitarian was used in the early 1800s to describe those who, in reading the Bible, began to question the idea, the certainty of the Trinity. The Trinity that says that God is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. The early Unitarians honored the oneness of God and saw Jesus as a radical prophet, a wise teacher, divinely inspired. And Universalism historically describes the movement away from Calvinist predestination, a doctrine that states that all events have been willed by God and that the fate of your soul is already determined. Our Universalist ancestors said, no, your fate is not fixed. You have free will. And as part of that, all souls receive universal salvation. And over the centuries and decades, we have continued the conversations about theologies and beliefs and practices. As a faith tradition, we are never complete. We are never perfect. There are new ideas waiting to illuminate our hearts and minds. And even as we struggle and hope and work toward updating these principles, we also know that even with all the care and time and thought we're putting into it, that these speak to us mostly today. And that in 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 years, there will be other generations of Unitarian Universalists who will adapt and change this foundational language that guides us. So what does this have to do with our daily living? What does it have to do with how we're in relationship with ourselves, or with one another, or with our circles of care and support? It's not stated in the proposed revision language, but inherent in our ability to transform, to change. Inherent is trust and vulnerability. Trust in our own selves, trust in each other, and trust in the information that we are receiving about the world around us. And by information, I mean intellectual information and emotional information. But trust that what we are taking in is valid. Adrienne Marie Brown, writer, activist, and facilitator, writes about the connection among change, trust, and love. She writes, "How fast you can move is determined by how much trust you have. And people won't trust you unless you are vulnerable with them." There's a place in one of my books where I talk about moving at the speed of trust. But when I write that, what I think I really mean is moving at the speed of love. Creating spaces where people feel loved and sustained, where people can practice vulnerability, privileging relationship over completing tasks. This requires slowing down so we can see and hear and experience the whole and holy person in front of us. In a world that moves so fast, in a world where it seems like increasingly the norm is for two different sides to scream at one another, never slowing down enough or quieting down enough to really listen, where all too often our workplaces prioritize productivity over soul-enriching work, slowing down so we can move at the speed of love. This feels like today's dissenting religious tradition. What can you do in the next week to practice moving at the speed of love with someone in your life? Would it look like putting the phone down for a little bit? Maybe you need to practice some of that moving at the speed of love with your own self. Maybe it means setting aside your email for a while and to go outside on your patio with your container plants and a book and just be there for you. I'd love you to think about one thing you can do differently in the next few days to practice this moving at the speed of love. And then I would love to hear what you did and how it impacted you. And I hope we can continue becoming a community that has enough trust in each other that we can wave around our well-worn ideas, open to new truths that we hear in each other. And may all of us have our minds blown, our hearts emboldened, and our hands strengthened to continue the good work in the world. We sing together our closing hymn. Malcolm is not into the title. I'm just going to throw that out there without Malcolm's permission to share Malcolm's truth. It's number 125. From the crush of wealth and power, let's rise up and sing as hearts and spirits allow. Number 125 in the gray hymnal.
From the crush of wealth and power, something broken in our soul waits the Spirit's silent hour, pleading with a poignant call. Bind all my wounds again. Even now our hearts are weary of the friend we need so much. When I see the pain you carry, shall I with a gentle touch bind all your wounds again? When our love for one another makes our burdens light to bear, find the neighbor and the hungry for the feast we share, bind all their wounds again. Every time our spirits languish, terrified to draw too near, may we know each other's anguish, and with love that casts out fear, bind all our wounds again. Bind all our wounds again.
Place one hand on your heart and reach out a hand to someone in the room or on the live stream. Our chalice is extinguished. We carry its light with us. Move slowly into the week to come and practice moving at the speed of love. I love you all. Go out and love the world. Amen and blessed be.